asked me to do this. I had no political organization. I had no money. I still have very little money. There were a couple good candidates in the race. All I had, and my brother Matthew knows this, was a beat-up old Honda Element and something in my heart and head. I had a message, and I kept repeating it to myself day after day after day. And those of you who've heard me speak are sick of it, but I kept saying to myself, I feel like I'm losing my country. I feel like I'm losing my country. And so I set out 4 months ago, all by my lonesome, with my pair of loafers that's just totally beat up right now. And I kept asking people and talking to people, and I realized after 3 or 4 months that, you know what, there are a lot of people that feel like I do.
That's right.
Amen. 4 months ago, I hadn't raised a dime yet. I sat down in a Starbucks in Barrington with a guy named Jim Mayer, who at that time became the campaign's first official volunteer. 4 months ago. Wow. 4 months later, 4 months later, I've got an ex-rock and roll star who's got an issue with me. 4 months later, I've lost 13 pounds. 4 months later, I've got an amazing campaign team. 4 months later, and this is no exaggeration, because when you think about how and why I won this election, here's why. 4 months later, I've got 200 to 300 people, an army of people who have knocked on doors for the past month and a half, who have made phone calls for the past month and a half, who have emailed friends for the last month and a half. 4.5 months later, we've got an army. I know I'm going to be asked to tone down my language. I know it's going to come. I know I'm going to get calls from Washington. I know I'm going to get calls from the Republicans, and they're going to pat me on the head like that, and they're going to say, Mr. Walsh, Joe, you did a great job. You're a Tea Party conservative Republican, but come on, let's talk.
Don't change. Don't change.
Let's talk to you about that Tea Party stuff. I will answer them and say, 4.5 months later, a revolution has been launched in this district. This Tea Party conservative Republican has won a nomination that not a newspaper in this district thought we could do. Truthfully, many in this Republican Party that I love didn't know that we could do this. So what in God's name happened?
You gave him hell, Joe.
Again, briefly, and those of you who've heard me speak, here it comes again. A broken record had very little to do with me. Had very little to do with me. You had a man, a humble man with a message. How much more humble can the message be? I feel like I'm losing my country. And you know why I'm standing here before you as your Republican nominee today? Because that message is what this growing movement of patriotic Americans felt months before I said anything. Months before I said anything. All I did was speak out loud and give them a voice, a political voice.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I called myself a Tea Party conservative candidate first, a Republican second from day one. The Tea Party movement initially looked at me with funny eyes, as they should from day one. The Republican Party looked at me with odd eyes from day one, as they should have. But 3.5, 4 months later, guys, I'm standing before you, the proudest candidate in the world, because I want you to say it. We are all Tea Party folks. We Now that's my dad, and he's never stayed up this late. We will march forward against Melissa Bean with this message.
That's right.
Any Republican, any independent, and any Democrat who is scared to heck about the growth of government, who is angry about the growth of government, who is concerned about the growth of government, and who is concerned about the loss of our freedoms, Republican, Independent, and Democrat, you're ours. And you're joining this movement. And you're going to become a Tea Party folk too, because we all are, and God love her, Melissa Bean is on the wrong side of that.
Yeah!